Now we're going to talk about marriage for a couple weeks. And if you're single in the room, this does apply to you. You get to start right now with a blank slate and go, this is how, from this day forward, this is how I'm approaching marriage. If you're married in the room, good news, God's grace, we can start today. If you've got regret, if you've got shame about any mistakes you've made in the past, today's a new day. His mercies are new every morning. If you need to make some adjustments, today's a great day to do it. So being married is so awesome. So awesome. When I was a kid, before I was a teenager, I would pray, Jesus, please don't come back until I get my driver's license. Please, I just want to drive. Now these kids, I don't even know, these kids, they're like 20 and they don't have a driver's license. They don't even want one. Like, are you insane? I was praying and begging God, please don't come back. I want to drive. And then I got my driver's license. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, Jesus, please don't come back until I get married. Just want to be married. Marriage is awesome. And if you're a girl, you dream of your wedding, all your whole childhood. When a lot of my friends when I was little were girls. And so we did, you have to like play house and stuff. I want to like kill things and they want to like play house. But this is the dream of a little girl's life. The wedding dress and the flowers and the food and all of that. You dream about the perfect wedding, the perfect marriage. You know the name, you're 13 and you know what you're going to name all of your children. You have it all planned out. It's a dream. For boys, here's our dream. To get to sleep with a woman legally whenever we want. Oh! Have as much sex as I want. That's my dream. Anybody still dreaming? Some of us are at the age you go, that sounds like a lot of work. Sorry, kids. This one's PG-13. But you probably know this. Around 50% of marriages in America don't make it. And of those that do, many of them are miserable. I've been thinking about this a lot lately with, there's a lot of things around what is marriage and what is a man, what is a woman, all of this kind of stuff. And as a church, we can get very clear and vocal on some things that are biblical and say, no, that's not marriage. No, it's man and woman. And marriage is, by the way, if you're wondering, the Bible defines marriage this way. One man, one woman for one lifetime. And I think the church, we get excited about one man and one woman. But I've been thinking about this a lot lately. We want the Bible to disrupt the world's definition of how we engage in sex and relationships. But I think the whole covenant and divorce and all of that, I think it would disrupt the church just as much as it would disrupt the world. And by the way, if you're in this room and that's a part of your story, there is grace for you. But we've got to have a place where there's grace and we can still say, this is the truth. Like you're forgiven. God has a future for 100%. He wants to restore you, all of that. But he does have a way. And it's one man, one woman, one lifetime. 50% aren't making it. And of those that do, many of them are miserable. Divorce and broken marriage, and not even just divorce, but bad, unbiblical, unfruitful, non-kingdom marriage leaves a legacy. And when a marriage breaks, kids oftentimes are left carrying the weight of it. What did I do? Was it my fault? If I could have done something, if I could have said something, it affects their view of the opposite sex. It affects their view of marriage. They carry those wounds and the pain into their marriage, and it becomes this cycle. And I just, looking at the world, I'm saying something isn't working. I think maybe we're not spiritually equipped. And maybe some of us are left asking, is a great marriage even possible? Trouble hits and you begin to question, did I make the right choice? Is she the one? Is he the one? That person is God's destiny for you. That person is God's will for you. The question isn't, are they the one? And the question is, am I the one? A great marriage is absolutely possible. So the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about 4 vows that must be a part of our marriage if we're going to leave a godly legacy in this area. The 4 vows are this: the vow of priority, the vow of pursuit, the vow of partnership, and the vow of purity. You know, marriage, we think of the vow we make on that day. And then it became a marriage, right? Well, actually, the vow you made is the vow you make. That vow is something you have to get up every day and make. And that vow encompasses 4 vows, actually. The vow of priority, the vow of pursuit, the vow of partnership, and the vow of purity. Today, I'm going to talk about priority and pursuit. The vow of priority. You know, Hollywood so romanticizes this whole thing, right? You have the Disney princess, and she's waiting for her Prince Charming. And every little girl is saying, I can't wait till I find the one. And we're waiting for the one. I'm waiting for the one. And actually, side note here, I think in the church, we've taken this one thing and it's been, I think, destructive. I don't believe, just FYI, I don't believe God has one person for you. Because I believe in free will. So if God has one person on the whole planet for you, and that one person decides not to follow Jesus, you're not supposed to get married? That doesn't make sense to me. I believe God has a set of principles. And there's truth. And I believe you have a free will. And God gives you the power of choice to say, that one. And I also just think it's way more romantic. If I only had to choose one person, like God chose you for me, I say, well, God chose you. You were the one on the whole planet. So I didn't have any options. You're the one. Not super romantic. I don't think that's going to lead to my dreams coming true, if you know what I mean. But if I say, out of the millions of women on the planet, I had options. Not a lot of options. I know who I am, but I had some options. But I chose you. I chose you. It's not even in my notes. That's a pet peeve of mine. And I just want you to know, I used to be a stud. No, I wasn't. Never was. Okay. But maybe instead of looking for your one, you should look for your 2. Here's what I mean. As you're living your life as a single person and you have this desire for marriage, which, by the way, came from God, and I believe if God put a desire in your heart, He didn't call you to carry a desire that He didn't want to fulfill. He put it in your heart. It's from Him. And some of you, it's a question of, well, what the heck? I don't have the answers. I just know He's good, and He put that thing in your heart, and He wants to answer that thing. He wants to give you the desire of your heart. But here's the life of someone looking for their one. Look for your 2. And this is what I mean. Make Jesus your one. This is the vow of priority. That God is one. I was always told this as a young man. You run hard after Jesus with all your heart. You're not out looking for a girl. You're out chasing Jesus. And you're sprinting after Jesus. And then one day, you're going to look and there's someone sprinting next to you. And you go, oh, hey, we're going the same direction. You want to, run together? But God is my one. So if you're hoping to be married, seek the one while you're preparing for the two. A famous preacher said this. I love this. He said, become the person you are looking for is looking for. Become the person you're looking for is looking for. Would you marry you? I'm amazing. No. In your finances, would you marry you? In your health, and your diet, in your exercise, would you marry you? In your hobbies, in your passions, would you marry you? In your career and your vision for life. You have a picture of the person you want to marry probably, right? Or you have a picture of the person you married. Who is it that your spouse wants to be married to? Be that person. You know them. And if you're single, you have it in your heart, the dream person that you want to marry. Get in their mind and say, okay, what is the person that person would want to marry? And be that person. Say, God, change me. God, make me. God, prepare me. Be the person you're looking for is looking for. What's a godly man looking for in a wife? What's a godly woman looking for in a husband? So the vow of priority is simple. I promise God will be my first priority and my spouse will be my second. I promise God will be my first priority and my spouse will be my second. Now there is an aspect of this where I would say there isn't a list at all. That if anything on your list isn't God, it shouldn't be on the list, right? That I would say when I'm loving my spouse, I am loving God. But hopefully we can hold that truth and hear what I'm saying. Some of us actually make our spouses God. And now I can't pursue God because I'm beholden to some strange obligation I've made that isn't godly and put my spouse in a spot they were never meant to be. So let's look at Genesis 2:24. You've probably heard this one before, maybe even at a wedding. Genesis 2:24. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. This word leaves comes from the Hebrew word azab. Azab. It just means to loosen or relinquish. So when I leave my father and mother, I loosen, I relinquish the hold. And maybe as parents, we need to hear this. We loosen, we relinquish the hold we have on our children. And so the man needs to loosen and relinquish, and so do the parents. And then we are joined to our spouse. We'll get into that later. But I want to talk about this priority of love. I can't remember who it is. One of the early church fathers. He described sin this way. Sin is disordered love. Disordered love. And when it comes to our relationships, I think we can sin in disordering our love. If you give your spouse the number one spot, you're expecting from your spouse things that they cannot provide for you. You did not get married so that person could complete you. You did not get married so they could fill you, fulfill your heart's dreams and fill your cup. Though that is reserved for the one. God fills me. God defines me. God is the one who gives me purpose and identity and completes me and all of that. She will never meet your needs. He will never meet your needs. Jesus is the one who meets my needs. Thank you, Jesus, that sometimes the way you meet my need is through my spouse. But I am not leaning on my spouse to meet my spiritual needs. I'm leaning into Jesus and I'm saying, Lord, speak to me. When I want a word from God, many times he gives it to me through my wife. But I want a word from God. I'm leaning into him. And sometimes he uses my wife to meet my needs. But I do not expect my wife to meet my needs every day, all day, perfectly, like Jesus can. So we can err by putting our spouse too high, but then we can err by putting our spouse too low and making them third or fourth or fifth. Your spouse needs to have their rightful place in your life. They need to have a voice in your life. Other than Jesus, my wife's voice is the most important voice in my life. If she doesn't feel good about it, we're not doing it. And we especially can't give that place or that voice to someone else. In our culture, I see what's happening here is that children take the place of the spouse. And can I just say this? Newlywed couples, maybe these two on the front row get this question. And Chris is going to thank me for asking this question. She probably already knows the question I'm going to ask.
I'm not asking.
When are you starting a family? Guys, they already started a family.
Amen.
Family is husband and wife. Children are blessings. But husband and wife makes a family. You'd make children the definition of family. You put the burden of the whole thing on your kids. That's a weight they can't carry. And then they feel like they're the center of the universe. In a good way and a bad way. I mean, in the like I'm the center of the universe, and they feel the weight of it, the heaviness of it. I want my kids to know, we're going to be okay, even if you're not. I can remember one time, now some people freak out about this, but one time when Judah was little, he at church, he walked up and he was mad because Michelle didn't give him something he wanted or something, and he kicked her in the shins. And it wasn't just a, shucks, oops, I didn't mean to kick. He looked at her and he kicked her in the shins. And I took him to the bathroom, I grabbed him by his shirt, and I slammed him up against the wall so we were eye to eye. Which now eye to eye would be like this, but this is why you do it then, so I don't have to try to do it now. I slammed him against the wall like this, and I said, that's my wife. You do that again, you will be in big trouble with me. I said something worse than that. Before she's your mother, she's my wife. And we're a family. You're welcome to be a part of it, but that's my wife. And I'm seeing it all over. I even see it in the church. The priority is the children. And if my husband doesn't do something I think he should do for the children, or if my wife doesn't prioritize the children, but I made a covenant with that woman. She is number 3. She's number 2, not number 3. She is number 2. God and her. And I give you permission today. This is really good news. Everyone who's married, I give you permission to be jealous. You have permission to be jealous. There is a godly jealousy. God is jealous. There is an ungodly jealousy, just like there's an ungodly anger. But you have permission to be jealous and say, that's my man. That's my woman. No one gets that place in her heart but me. No one gets that look from her but me. No one gets that place of intimacy but me. You have the right to be jealous. So, wife, you come before the kids. You come before my friends. You come before my career. You come before my phone. And can I just say this too? Because for every mile of road, there's 2 miles of ditch. That doesn't mean in my marriage there's no sacrifice. Like, if saying yes to this thing means my wife and I can't spend every waking moment together, then it must not be God. I don't believe that either. Last year, I spent like 3 months almost away from home. And it was for my number one. But can I tell you on the way home, I've never loved my wife more. I could not wait to be with my wife. I could not wait to hold her, to kiss her, to get my dreams fulfilled. Making your spouse your number two doesn't mean you're number one. There will be sacrifice. Sometimes, as the spouse, I can get in the way of God's call on their life. Michelle could speak to this. She said, she's told me this a few years ago. You know, pastoring the church is hard, and it takes a lot of time away from home and all of that. And she's wrestling with this. And I got to speak at our family camp one time, and I'm up there speaking, and it was, I don't know. We had a good time, and she's watching, and she just felt from God, like, He's called to do this. You can't get in the way. And that's loving your spouse, right? So we just have to be, there's a delicate balance here, right? You're my number two, but I don't have permission to lay down the call of God on my life. We have to empower each other to do that. So typically what destroys a marriage isn't bad things. It's typically good things out of order. Kids are a gift from God, but they're not my number two. God placed my parents' voice in my life, but my wife's voice is louder. There's another one that I think is really, really important. And hear this with some grace, because it's not an exact science here. Parents, your family didn't grow. Your family didn't grow when your kids got married. A new family was formed. You didn't gain a daughter. You didn't gain a son. There's an aspect of that. I'm not saying you just... But this is a new family. You have got to let go. You're not the leader of that family. You're a consultant on retainer. When they want consultation, they will reach out to you for advice. And if you did a good job leading up to that point in building relationship, they'll reach out to you more. But if you try to hold on and control what they do with their kids, what they do with their money, what they do for a career, where they live, I'm just telling you, those calls for consultation will be few and far between. Let go. Let them build a new family. Let them build their own traditions. Let them build their own legacy. Trust the work you did for 18, 20, 30, whatever, however long. You worked in their lives. You had your time. And now it's time for that to bear fruit. It is a natural, good thing that they leave. I know it. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but I can imagine. I know it hurts, but it's good. Let them go. Okay. Second vow. Second vow is the vow of pursuit. We'll whip through this one. I promise to always pursue my two. So that verse we read, I promise to always pursue my two. Genesis 2:24. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. So I leave my father and my mother, and I'm joined to my wife. Joined. The root word here is dabak. Dabak, cling or adhere, to catch by pursuit, to pursue hard with affection and devotion. Here's some uses of this word in Scripture. Psalm 63:8 says, I follow close behind you. Job 41:17, they are joined fast to one another. They cling together and cannot be parted. Judges 20:45, they pursued hard after them. This is that word, joined. Pursuit looks like this. You protect the priorities. Make the vow a priority. Pursuit is how you protect the priorities. As men, I think there's a natural thing in us we want to protect. We want to protect our home. We want to protect, in the church, you want to get the men excited, say, we're going to have a meeting about security. And the men show up and they go, all right, what are we packing? And by the way, I say amen. Let's do it. Let's protect. That is godly and that is good. But here's my challenge to you men. Do you really want to protect? Really, 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 is it about protection? Or is it about the idea of, I get to have these cool toys and, feel cool. Because here's the truth. If you really want to protect, you won't just protect from other people out there, crooks and robbers and criminals. You'll also protect from thieves like distraction and Facebook and movies and other women and pornography. And you really want to protect your home? What's your schedule look like? What's your budget look like? What's your thought life look like? How often do you go out and spend time with your wife? Let's be protectors. Not just in the exciting way of, like we played with kids with sticks. Let's be protectors in the other areas too. Ephesians 5:25 says, for husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave his life up for her. What's really the motivation to be a protector? Cool toys? Adventure? Why do we get pumped about protecting from someone invading my house, but not idols upsetting my priorities? Your role is not just to protect your stuff, but also to protect your priorities. We should be doing this with the same zeal as if it were a home invasion, because it is. So, practical tips. Here's a good one. I've heard this from several people. Mommy gets the first kiss. I miss this. I miss this so much. Coming home to little ones, daddy's home, and they run to the, my goodness, I miss that. And everything inside of you wants to just grab that little kid and play and all of that. And that's good. But what if you did this? Little Bobby runs, daddy, daddy, daddy. And you say, hold on a minute. And you go to the kitchen and you give your wife a kiss and you ask her about her day. You connect with her. And then you say, okay, now it's your turn. Mommy gets the first kiss. You want to love your kids? Invest in your marriage. We've been alluding to this the whole time, but I think it's important to realize that children are a temporary assignment. Marriage is a lifetime commitment. You want your kids to succeed in marriage? Model it. I want to make it difficult for any man to measure up. I'm painting a picture in my daughter's mind of what a husband looks like. And I want that young man I want it to be very difficult for him to match the picture in her mind. That's called a legacy. So number one tip, mommy gets the first kiss. And number two, this is such a basic, practical one, but it's one that's so easy to slip off the agenda. Date your wife. Pursue your wife. It's so easy. I can feel it right now in my life, to be honest. The pressures of life, the busyness of sports with the kids and running here and there and all that. And it's like we don't have time for romance. It's like you get to where you're like, well, I already caught you. I don't need to pursue you. No, the rest of my life, I've made a vow to pursue you. Again, man, it makes it like I'm out to get the kids. I love my kids, but kids don't have to be a part of every fun thing we do. And not every fun thing we do has to be kid-centric. Every once in a while, it's mom and dad's turn to have some fun. And date your wife doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money, right? Like we spent the last 3 weeks saying get serious about debt and all of that. Date your wife could honestly be as simple as every night, my wife and I take the dog and we go for a walk. No kids. And we talk about our days and our weeks and our memories and our whatever. No money. Spend some time connecting. And by the way, if you want to go out, here's the beautiful thing about a church. You have free childcare. There are people in this room that would gladly, I know you feel guilty, but there are people that are like, missing the baby stage. You're like, get them out. I don't want to dump my kids on someone else. They're a pain, they're whatever. And there are people in this room aching to have your kids. We would love to support your marriage. We would love to help you. Free childcare. Where else do you get that in the world? We should put that on social media. Okay, let's close. Revelation 2:5 says, look at how far you've fallen. Turn back to me and do the works you did at first. Look how far you've fallen. Turn back to me and do the works you did at first. Here's the thing about grace. It's a new day. It does no good to regret what you did yesterday in your marriage. It does no good for you to feel really bad about, do I measure up as a husband? That's not the gospel anyway. Do I measure up as a wife? Try harder, do better is not the gospel. Make Jesus number one, and it's amazing how much better number two will go. He's here to help you. Turn back to me and do the works you did at first. So let's apply this to our marriage. Just close your eyes and remember what you did at first. What did you do when you were dating? What did you feel when you got in the car and you were driving the loop or whatever you guys did back in the day? What can we do to do the things we did at first? Do I still tell her I love her? Am I still trying to win her heart? Do the things you did at first. You remember the days you made a fool out of yourself for love? Think about this. Is there any other area of life where you can be lazy and improve? Your body? Your business? Your finance? Your job? Your yard? If the grass looks greener in your neighbor's yard, it's time to water your own yard. So here's some things we can do. When you think something good, say it. Men, she wants to know, do you love me today? And ladies, he wants to know, do you believe in me today? When you think something special, do it. I should buy her some candy. I should send her some flowers. Do it. And when you want something different, be it. If only she would. If only my husband would Don't gripe about what your spouse isn't. Continue to grow into who you are called to be, and you'll inspire them. You wish your husband would get off his phone? Get off your phone and get in his business. And woo him. Pursue him. When I was meeting with my counselor over my sabbatical, he was challenging me in this area of connection versus attachment. An attachment is an unhealthy, codependent relationship. And in this kind of relationship, we say things like, we should. And the reason I attach to you is it feels safe. It's not vulnerable. So what I realized was, when I was pursuing my wife, there was a moment I had to step out on a limb by myself and say, I want to take you out to dinner. I'm out here on my own. I've provided you the opportunity to reject me, but I'm inviting you to meet me in the middle. And what I noticed when I was sitting with my counselors, what's happened over time, is I no longer say, I want time with you. I say, we should. It's safer. It's not vulnerable. I say, we should go to dinner. You know, it's the right thing. I'm not giving you an opportunity to be your own person and reject me or accept me. I'm not telling you, I'm not laying my heart out there and saying, I miss you and I want to spend time with you. I'm saying, we should. It's just a practical little tip on what it looks like to be different. Be the difference you want. I was asking my counselor, I said, I like what you're saying about attachment versus connection, and I totally get it, but I don't get it. Like, what's it look like? What's it sound like? How can I be just a person who does connection? And he says, say I want. He said, sometimes my wife, he says, my counselor's like 75-year-old man. He says, sometimes my wife's got this gravelly voice. She's doing the dishes in the kitchen, and I walk up behind her and I whisper in her ear, I want you. And she says, oh, not right now. And he says, I didn't mean like that. I mean, I love you, and I want to be with you. You're my treasure. Connection. So, can we make 2 vows today? I promise God will be my first priority and my spouse will be my second. So help me, God. And I promise to always pursue my 2.